Hello, loves. I'm just going to wait a few minutes and let some people hop on. This is a scheduled live where we're going to be talking about my story of healing my nervous system and adrenal fatigue and burnout. Ginger, I know. Do you want to come say hi? Come here. Come here. Come here. I know. You guys want to see my kitty? This is Ginger. She's the one that's always in the background making noise and being a pain in the butt. So share this out if you guys know people who struggle with regulating their nervous system, who I have to put this down or she'll freaking scratch the crap out of me, who are struggling with burnout, um, leaving toxic relationships, needing to sleep all the time, exhausted. It's okay. I'm just trying to get you comfortable because I know you're going to want to be on my lap. Is that better? I'm going to be sharing not only my story, but some of my story, but I'm going to be sharing the products that I used to help regulate my system and start to heal. I'm going to talk about the diet that I have that helps to heal the adrenals and burnout, and just any questions you guys have. I'm here to help you answer them. I just want to give you guys resources and be of help because I'm about 80% healed from stage 3 adrenal fatigue and lactic acid. And that's kind of a big deal. And I didn't do it with any doctors because, well, they were not helpful. So if you can relate to that, but good morning. It is 11 o'clock in the morning on the North Carolina coast. How's everybody doing this morning? Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay. So I'm just going to share my story, and hopefully those who are called to join will come on in. So for me, I spent most of my life living in a state of fight or flight, freeze. So it's fight, flight, freeze, people please, or known as fawn, the people pleasers. Put my glasses on so I can see. So those are the four stages of your, like the four things of you showing you that your nervous system is out of alignment, that you are, your nervous system is unregulated. So it's fight, flight, freeze, or people please, which is the official name is fawn. But I spent most of my life living in a dysregulated nervous system. I experienced every type of abuse you can imagine growing up. My needs weren't met as a child. I was from a very young age, made to be an adult, made to be responsible for my own needs and self-care, which is very hard on a child who, doesn't know how to do any of that. So it was something that was already my natural state of being for most of my life. And I never really noticed it. I just thought that that was how you were supposed to live because that's how I grew up. That's how my system always was. I didn't know any different. And as I started to come into my awakening, my self-awareness journey, and started to become more aware of myself, that's what an awakening is. It's becoming more aware of yourself, not necessarily spirit, but yourself first. I started to notice that this isn't like how you're supposed to live, right? But in 2015, I had no choice but to face it because that is the year I say that's my year of hell. In 2015, in the beginning of 2015, I was engaged to be married. I had a huge pay raise at the real estate company I was working for. I me and my fiance were preparing to build a new house on our property. Like all of the things the key indicators that like life is smooth and going right and things are starting to settle and things are starting to feel safe and things are starting to be good. Well, shortly after all of those great things were seeded and started to come to fruition, a few months into 2015, my world fell apart very quickly and it became my year of hell. My dad was in his early 50s. He was diagnosed with end stage liver failure. And I had to fly home to California, sell my childhood home, retire my father. I had to sell everything in it and move him across country. He was given 4 months to live. I came home. It took me 3 weeks to do that. So in 3 weeks, I sold my childhood home, everything in it, retired my father, and packed him up and moved him across country in 3 weeks. When I tell you I was living on a few hours of sleep, and back then a lot of alcohol and coffee, that's how I was surviving, because I had that whole entire weight of that world on my shoulders and my shoulders only. And it was a lot. And I know men go through this too, but for women, I think that this is a more prominent thing. This happens more for women because women, especially women who have what I call, who are wounded, wounded masculine, wounded feminine, especially the wounded masculine, because we think that we can do everything. We think we don't need anybody else. We think that we have to do things. We have no other choice. We bulldoze, we push, and we just believe that nobody's going to help us. We believe that nobody is going to do it. No one else, people say, well, let someone else do it. Well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Like, that's the mentality that I had. Like, that's a mentality that a lot of women have that are very wounded in their masculine, whose needs were not met, who they weren't shown a good example. So I had all of that weight on my shoulders. I felt like I had zero support. Like, that was a wound, right? Because that's how I grew up. I did not have my needs met. And I think I'm from Gen X, so I think a lot of Gen Xers have this wound as well. So all of that went down, and when I came here, 3 weeks later, I come back to North Carolina, and we have to be put into, we don't have a home. Our home's being built, so we're in a temporary home that's not ours. It was a vacation rental of a family friend, and taking care of a sick man. I come back to a box on my desk. I was fired for taking 3 weeks off to take care and move my sick father, and I was the breadwinner in my family. I had the biggest income that was coming in. So here I was, middle of planning a wedding. Invitations, mind you, have already gone out. There's still a lot of expenses to be paid. We are in the middle of a home loan, and it hadn't been, because it's a builder loan, it hadn't closed. And there'll still be a final verification of income at the end. And now I didn't have any of that. So literally everything in my world began to fall apart. And in November of 2015, my father died. And when he died, everything came to a head for me. Everything. Because here's the thing, the very first sign of burnout, the very first sign of your adrenals beginning to shut down is emotional overwhelm. And when I say overwhelm means you literally cannot function because you're holding on to so much pent up, stored emotion that it literally breaks you. It breaks you. You begin to short circuit. You literally begin to short circuit. And I went through what I call the dark night of the soul, a very dark, deep depression of healing during that time. But it wasn't getting better. So I was sleeping all the time. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was not able to function because I was overwhelmed so much. Because when you're in overwhelm, the only thing that heals overwhelm is to literally do nothing. Nothing. And I'm going to talk about that because I know that a lot of women, so this came from a post that I had done, a video that I had done, actually duetted. And a lot of women commented, I can't sleep, I can't rest because I have little kids, or I have this, or I have that. And I'm just going to be blunt with you. Those are all excuses. Those are all excuses. When all of this was going down, I had 3 kids, 2 dogs, a cat, a business to run, a husband who did not help me around the house or much of anything. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. If I can learn to regulate my nervous system with all of that going on and start the healing process, anybody can do it. So I was in that first stage where my adrenals were starting to be super taxed. I was in emotional overwhelm. I couldn't function. And when your adrenals begin to shut down, when your adrenals begin to be taxed in that way, because they're just these little tiny organs that sit on top of your kidneys, and they are so important to our health. like so important. But doctors don't know a lot about the adrenals, and they don't know a lot about the endocrine system. And that's a big issue because it's such a delicate system that is more energetic than nature. And doctors, they're trained to treat. They're trained to have a test show something and then to give a medication or a treatment. They are not trained in preventative. And I've actually had doctors confirm to me that they really do not know. Even endocrinologists. I had someone say, "Oh, go to an endocrinologist." I went to seven, and all my labs were in range. But what happens when your adrenals begin to short circuit, begin to be taxed, is the proper word for that? It sends signals to your pituitary gland. And that is what regulates, it's also known as your third eye, but it regulates your hormone production. And it starts to overcompensate by putting out more hormones than you need. And it throws off your thyroid. And it becomes a domino effect. So all of your systems begin to domino into overcompensating to try to regulate your body. Because here's the thing, your body is always trying to come into homeostasis. Literally, it's always trying to come into homeostasis. There's never a time that it's not. This is why we have cravings. This is why we get like things go wrong and we're forced to stop. This is why we get sick and we need to shut down and rest. And I'll tell people, if you don't listen to your body and you don't learn to read your body and read your energy field, you're going to manifest and call in situations to where you're sick or you get disease or you get just wiped out or a back injury or car accident. You literally call that in to force you to slow down. So when I hear women tell me I can't because I don't have I can't do that. That's not possible for me. Well, if you keep doing that, if you keep believing that, then guess what? Something will happen in your life that will force you to have no other choice but to stop. You won't have a choice. You'll be hospitalized, you'll be sick, you'll have the flu, you'll do something that will make you sit still, that will make you rest because you won't do it yourself. And trust me, from someone who's been there, you don't want to call that in. So between the end of 2015 and end of 2017, I saw a series of 7 different doctors who all told me my adrenals and my thyroid were all in range, that even though I had all of the symptoms, they could not explain. It was too convenient that I had all of the symptoms, but that the tests weren't showing the evidence of it. And I understand doctors are trained in that way. And so I was basically labeled crazy, that it was all in my head, that I was making it up. And it was, as someone who is already in emotional overwhelm in the first stage of adrenal fatigue, in the first stage of burnout, and you're told over and over and over again that it's in your head, that you're crazy, that you're making it up, that, whatever, you start to push harder and you get angry. And because you think, okay, well, maybe I am crazy. And so you go harder and you keep trying and you keep trying to fix it. And that's what I did. And that was the absolutely wrong thing to do. But in addition to that, it forced me to really get in tune with my body. And when I say this, I mean, like literally, when there is a sensation in my body, I know what it's telling me. I know what it needs, and I know how to mitigate, how to give it what it needs without prescription medications. I haven't taken a prescription medication since probably 2016. I haven't done anything like that because it's just another chemical in your body. It's not going to be the answer. It's a Band-Aid and not a very good one. So I was forced to go inward and to really learn my body. Now, for those of you who have been following me for a while, you already know this, but I am a channel and a medium, and I have medical mediumship abilities. It's not something that I don't offer it as a service. I do bring it into my private clients, and when people come to me for certain things, I will do it, but it's not something that I offer as a service. So just so you know. But I began going deep into me and connecting with my spirit team and really figuring out, what can I do? What else can I do? If I can't get help, I need help from somewhere. I need support. And it really took me on a natural medicine journey. And I started connecting with herbs and different things, and really listening to the guidance within me for what my body needed. And that's what I want to tell you guys, is when I start sharing supplements or my diet or things like that, there are some things that are proven scientific fact that help the adrenals, and I will tell you about those. But the most important thing is don't just take my word for it. Don't just say, oh, because she's taking that, that will work for me. If you feel called to it, if it resonates for you, if it's something that you say, oh, that's it, I need to try that, then that's what I want you to do. I want you to listen to your body and listen to what you need. You trump anything I say when it comes to your body, because I'm not you. So when I started listening to myself, and I started listening to my intuition and listening to my spirit guides, but I also did research. It was a mix of both. So I took a deep dive into researching thyroid, hypothyroidism, because for me it was hypo, because I started to gain a lot of weight. So let me just go over my symptoms, because I don't want to jump around too much. So here were some of my symptoms. So I started to gain weight, even though I ate a very clean, healthy diet. I started to gain weight for no reason. I hadn't made any diet changes. And I know from medical mediumship, that weight gain is a sign of not feeling safe. So when you gain weight for no obvious reason, or you can't lose weight because of, even though you're eating healthy and you're moving your body and you're doing all the right things. So if you're doing all the right things and you're doing what you know to do, that would, eating under your calories, all of those things that would actually allow you to lose weight, and you're still not losing weight, or you're still gaining weight, it's because you don't feel safe. So I started gaining a lot of weight, and I started retaining a lot of water. My lymphatic system began to get super clogged. You could literally bruise me when you pushed on me. It would leave a bruise within a day, or it would be an indent. It wouldn't come back to life right away. I started to have major gut health issues. I started to get really moody and have a lot of brain fog. I started to just be exhausted all the time. I felt like, man, I just don't have a lot of energy. So that was in the very beginning. And as that happened, I started to lose my hair, because again, the adrenals shoots up to the thyroid, or to the pituitary gland, and says, let's overproduce these hormones, which then makes the thyroid lose regulation, which then causes more gut health issues. It's like a huge mess. It's a huge cycle that is not, it just creates more and more symptoms, which then confuse doctors more and more, because it's too much, right? That's when they start to think you're crazy. So I started to lose my hair. My nails were very brittle and thin and breaking more than they ever were before. My skin was super dry. Um, I was moody. I was forgetting things. My memory went to shit, but I kept pushing because the doctors kept telling me I was crazy. But what did help was the fact that I was listening to my intuition. I was listening to my guides, and I was taking the supplements, and I was eating a certain diet. And what it was doing, it was helping it to not break me. It literally slowed the progression of the adrenal fatigue. So even though I was doing all of that, my marriage started to get toxic. And I started to take on more and more responsibility. I wasn't being cared for. I didn't have any support. And when your relationship gets toxic, and you are in those environments with unhealthy people, it only exacerbates it. So my adrenal fatigue began to move into stage 2, and eventually into stage 3. So by 2019, everything had come to a head, and I was to the point to where I could barely move. I could barely move. My business almost completely went under, because all I could do was float in my pool or lay around all day. I began to be wired and tired at night, so I was exhausted, but wide freaking awake. Like 10, 11, 12, 1, I'm just like, ding! But my body is like so tired, and I could not go to sleep. I was so wired. I started not needing to eat, so I would be not eating all day long. People think that, oh, I'm just not hungry. If your body is not hungry for long periods of time, now you will go through days or maybe even a couple of days when we have these big solar flares or when you're integrating something inside of you or something big is trying to be digested where you won't need to eat. But if you're going weeks and weeks and months where you're just not hungry during the day and then at night you all of a sudden have all of these munchies and you need to eat, those are signs that your adrenals are in trouble. It is, you have to start listening to your body. Your body is always telling you exactly what you need. Always. It's always telling you exactly what you need to know, exactly what it needs. So I would be, 11 o'clock at night craving salty, sweet foods. Like I would create salt and then I needed a sweet, and then I would need a salt and then I would need a sweet. And I'm not a sweet person. I'll have a little bit of dark chocolate now and then, or a tiny sliver of cake, but I was never a sugar person. That wasn't my thing. So me craving sugar and salt was a big red flag. So that started to happen to where I couldn't even get to sleep at night. So now here I was, emotionally overwhelmed. I'm exhausted and not able to sleep. And when that happens, you're starting to get into the end stages of stage 2. My body started to hurt all of the time. So I started to go deeper and deeper inside of me because again, I was not, I started to go to I went to another doctor for the first time. So I took a couple of years off. I'm going to a doctor. I said, you know what? I'm at a point where I think I don't know if I'm going to survive this. I have to find somebody to help me. And so I found another doctor and I went and I literally brought to her, you guys, like an 8x10 sheet of paper with probably 35 symptoms on there. And I left that doctor in tears because she looked at me and said, there's no way you have all of those symptoms. There's no way. And we can't help you. I don't know how to help you. And it literally broke me inside. And I remember, I'm going to get choked up thinking about it, but I remember laying on my closet floor in the dark. I had a big walk-in closet when I'm in that house. And I just shut the light off and I laid on the floor. And I cried and I prayed and I said, I know you're here because I could hear my guides. I worked with my guides. I'm a channel. I do this for a living. And I said, you've got to help me. I have to figure out how to get better. Like, you've got to help me regulate my nervous system so I can get help because I can't even move. I was barely working. It was terrible. It was so bad. And they brought through this beautiful process that allowed me to begin to work with my nervous system. And I worked with it for most of 2019. And it's actually in my book, and I'll get my book in a minute and show you guys, but it's linked in there if you're curious. It's called The Holy Grail, The Journey Through My Soul's Evolution. They gave me these four simple steps, this simple practice to help me gain control of my nervous system again, because I needed to find any ounce of strength that I could to start to heal myself because I literally had no help. At the end of 2019, after I had been working with the practice, it's known as the purification process, by the way, and that's what I call it. It's my modality now. I gained enough strength to begin to do what I needed to do to heal myself. And I ended up finding another doctor who was more, and I even went to an integrative doctor, you guys. I mean, it's nuts what I've been through. But I found a new doctor because I needed something else that needed to be done. And I really shared with her my story because in the beginning, when she came in, she said, you seem awfully nervous and awfully, anxious. And I said, well, you know, you're like the ninth doctor that I've been to. And I'm not here for those things, that I went to the other doctors for, but I don't trust doctors. And she wanted to know more about it. So I told her. And I said, I'm a psychic medium. I'm a channel. I communicate with the spirit. I am very in tune with my body. And people are telling me, doctors are telling me that I'm crazy and that that's not real. What I'm going through is not real. And it is real. And I went over the whole thing with her. She was very open-minded. And she just sat there and she said, Doctors just don't know. They don't know enough about the endocrine system. We're not taught. It's a system that is more energetic in nature, and we just don't understand how trauma and how emotions affect the physical body. It's not taught to them in that way. We are taught, and literally these were her words, we are taught to treat, not to be preventative. We're not here to, we don't understand until the symptoms have manifested into something physical and measurable on a test. But when it comes to being in toxic relationships, whether it's a narcissist or whether it's some type of abuse, or whether it was just the way that you were raised and your needs weren't met, or whether it's just because you're a woman who tries to take it on and be everything to everyone because she thinks that that's what she has to do, the doctors just don't know enough about the correlation between the body and that. They just don't. And she said, we don't know what we don't know. And a lot of doctors get really triggered. Their egos get really triggered when they're not able to do that. And so their line of defense is to say, it's you, you're crazy, it's not real, because it can't be proven. Well, science is taking something that has never been proven and proving it, right? So think about all the things that we don't know. Think about all the things that we don't know. It doesn't mean that they're not real. It just means that there's no real way, tangible way to measure it yet. And this is the energy of which we're moving into, where things become, we don't need it to be in physicality. We don't need it to be tangible. But she was the first doctor that restored my hope in Western medicine and saying, like, I will listen to you. You are my patient. Whether I can measure it or not, I'm going to listen to you and do my best to help you. She wasn't able to help me with any of those things, but I did share with her what I was doing that did help me, and she took care of. She was a doctor for something else, but it was nice for her to validate me. It felt good to be validated that I wasn't crazy, that these are things that doctors do, and that tests are not always accurate because there's so many variables that they don't know, right? The medicine is going to advance insanely over the next few years, like insanely. So anyway, not to go too far all over the place. But so before I go into the next phase of this, I want to tell you what I did up into the beginning of 2020. So from 2016, about mid 2016 to 2020, this is what I did, and this is what helped, and this is the research that I found and mixed with what my guides were telling me to do. So number one, if you are in emotional overwhelm, if you are feeling burned out, if you feel like you may be in any of the stages of adrenal fatigue, processed foods, packaged foods, caffeine, alcohol, processed sugars, inflammatory oils, corn oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, all of those aren't real foods. Packaged processed foods, all of that had to go. Adrenals are healed through high quality organic fruit, not even vegetables. It's fruit that heals the adrenal. And this is actually scientifically backed. Processed foods, processed grains, processed oils, processed sugars are like literal poison to the adrenals, to the liver, which is your body's filtration system, and it overtaxes your adrenals, liver, kidneys, lymphatic system, circulatory system. Your body cannot begin to even try to heal from the overwhelm that was energetic if it's still overloaded by the toxins that you're putting in your body, the toxins that you put on your skin. And this is overwhelming. It was overwhelming to me in the beginning because I was like, I have to change everything, but I did it slowly. And this is what I always tell people. Don't try to change everything overnight because it will be too much. And if you're already struggling with adrenal fatigue, if you're already struggling with burnout, you'll quit and it won't work. It just won't work. So make small changes. So I was a 6-pack a day drinker of Diet Mountain Dew, which is like drinking, there's literally antifreeze. The same ingredients in antifreeze is in soda. It is ridiculously terrible. And the aspartame, it just, never mind, just, it's terrible. I started weaning myself down because I was a caffeine addict because, again, I was exhausted all the time. So I countered that with caffeine, right? Like most people. So I started to reduce it till I got down to one. And then after about a week or two of being on one, I was able to give it up. I went from drinking a pot of coffee a day, and I still drink coffee, you guys. I drink mud water more than anything, but when I do drink coffee, like I am today, it is organic, and it's decaf, and it's water processed. So I'm very particular. Read your labels. I switched to organic coffee and decaf, and I started eating a mostly fruit diet. So I started with just bringing in more smoothies and blending it because I just could not eat that much fruit. I'm not really a big eater anyway. So I was organic strawberries, the berries, blueberries, wild blueberries. Oh, I cannot tell you enough about how much wild blueberries will heal your thyroid, no matter which one you have, hyper or hypo, and your adrenals. Wild blueberries, not even organic. You want wild. You want wild because wild are resilient. They have been burned, they have been frozen, and they always come back. You need resiliency in your body. So I started making smoothies with spinach. You don't want kale. You do not want kale. You want spinach. Spinach, strawberries, and blueberries is what I ate for a very long time. I soaked it. So I soaked the chia seeds in the water. And I started playing with herbs and different supplements to see. I went through a long period of trial and error trying to figure out what would work for me. And I suggest you guys do the same. So I started with reducing all of my caffeine to almost nothing until I was completely kicked off of the caffeine habit. And then I started introducing organic and wild, fresh, clean fruits. That's super important. Don't buy the cheap shit. It can be frozen too. And started having smoothies and trying to keep my diet as clean as possible until I was pretty much completely eating only fruits and vegetables. That alone was such a help for my body, but you don't know it at first because you have to detox so much. I used to have terrible migraines. I had terrible inflammation. All of those things came from the processed foods. All of it. Frozen, packaged, canned. You have to read your ingredients. If it's not whole foods and it's set in oil, you don't need to put it in your body. So I started to clean up my diet. I would go on light walks, but by the time I hit 2019, I couldn't even work out anymore because what I didn't know, and I was forcing myself to work out, is when your adrenals are taxed, you can't work out. You have to stop. You have to do savasanas, very, very low, gentle cruise walks, like slow, snail pace, checking out the bark on the tree kind of walk. You know what I mean? You cannot overburden your body. And a lot of rest. So here's a couple of things I'm going to share with you guys really fast because I know someone asked me, well, I can't sleep. I have little kids. I have this. Let me just tell you that here's a bunch of, I have them written down. The different types of rest. So permission to not be helpful. You don't have to be everybody's everybody. Stop doing that. Stop helping everybody. Stop. Someone needs help. Stop saying yes. No is your best friend, and no is a complete sentence. So stop helping everybody. Let people be capable on their own. Do things that are unproductive. Let your house be dirty. Let your kids make a mess. Make a fort on the couch or on the floor and watch cartoons, watch movies, watch things that allow you to completely just be unproductive. And this is going to challenge the muscle memory in your body. It's going to challenge everything you've ever been taught. You're going to feel like you're being selfish. You're going to feel like you're being lazy. You're going to feel like you're not good enough. You're going to feel like a failure. Those are all things that you're going to have to face, and judgment of yourself, and realize that no, you're not doing anything wrong. You're going to feel guilty. Guilt says, I'm doing something wrong. Your body's saying, bitch, I need you to do this to heal. You know what I mean? You're not doing something wrong. Solitude to recharge. Ask for help. Ask for help. Ask for time away. Ask for an hour a day to yourself. Put your damn foot down. Give yourself that space. If you want to go lay on the grass somewhere in nature, you want to lay in your car where nobody can talk to you or see you, whatever you need to do, you need to have time in your own energy field. Your own energy field. You have to be away. Our aura, it goes out. So wherever you're, put your arms out. So everybody just do this for a second. Just put your arms out straight. This is your auric field. Anything or anyone that cohabitates in that area, you are commingling. You're sharing energy. If you sleep in the same bed as your spouse, sleep somewhere else, at least a few nights a week. Sleeping in separate bedrooms is the very best thing that I did in the end of my marriage, because it allowed me to heal, especially if you're in a toxic relationship like I was. Like, he's not a bad guy, but it was a toxic relationship. And when I started sleeping in my office, I put a bed in my office. I lost 30 pounds in a month. I lost 30 pounds in a month without changing a damn thing. It just dropped. So you need to have that time, even if it means that your only solitude is sleeping alone. Sleep alone then. Take a break from responsibility. Again, this goes back to what I said earlier. Some of us feel like we have the world on our damn shoulders. And yes, this is a program. It's a condition. It's something that we learned that was not serving, that we have known forever, and we just do because we think it's normal. We think that if I don't do it, who's going to do it? You have to start giving responsibility to other people. And if they don't do it, then it doesn't get done. My biggest thing was in my toxic relationship is I was the martyr. I was the nag. I was the one that was like, could you please, you said you were going to do this and you're not doing it. And I would bitch and I would bitch and I would bitch. And then I would finally get so frustrated that I would just do it myself. And then I reached a point where I never even asked them anymore. I just did everything myself. This is so bad for you. You got to stop. So if they don't do it, it just doesn't get done. And eventually they'll be like, oh, the trash is piling up. The dishes are piling up. The yard work's piling up. Maybe I should get off my butt and help. You have to be strong and have your own back. Like you just have to do that. So I'm just going to read these through and then we'll talk about them. So time away, permission to not be helpful, something unproductive, connection to art or nature, solitude to recharge, a break from responsibility. We just talked about that. Stillness to compress, a safe space, and alone time at home. A safe space is something that everyone's going to need if you're on this healing journey. Until you can feel safe inside of you, no matter what's happening, you have to find a safe relationship. So I had a girlfriend, her name's Tanya, and those of you who follow me on other platforms know who she is. She became my safe person. There was nothing I could say to her where she would judge me. I could literally tell her anything, and she would not judge me. I needed someone who accepted me and believed me and who was there for me and who would hold space for me. And what it means to hold space is they're not there to fix you. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need advice. You need someone who will sit with you in your darkest moments and be their strength. They will be your rock to let you know it's okay for you to break. You have to make yourself a priority. You have to ask for help. And a lot of times, women like us, we have a lot of pride. And we don't want to ask for help. We're deemed incapable or a failure if we don't. So in fact, let me go grab it real quick before I forget. This is my book. I know it's probably backwards for you guys. I didn't know how to invert it. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, it's called Holy Grail: The Journey Through My Soul's Evolution. I'm gonna share with you guys the process. Let me open to it. The purification process is the modality that my guides gave me, and I'm not going to be able to do it justice on here. I suggest that you get the book or follow me on YouTube or, any of those things if you're drawn to it. But this is how it goes. So there's 4 frequencies, and I just want to run through it real fast because I feel like it might be helpful for people that are learning to regulate their nervous system. So it's I see you, I hear you, you are safe, I love you anyway. It's tattooed on my freaking arm. I love you anyway. So what is I see you? I see you is your opportunity to see yourself, to see what your body is telling you, showing you. It's seeing that, oh my God, I am not a victim and I'm the only one who's going to save me. I have to take responsibility and do what I know I need to do and find a way to be able to help myself. It is a more of a masculine energy because it's literally, look, I see what's happening. I see what my body's doing. I see these unserving habits and patterns and behaviors that I'm doing. I see that I'm taking on too much. I see that I'm exhausted. I see that I'm having all of these symptoms. I see, stop denying it. Take responsibility. So the first frequency is I see you. So in my head, when I have a story in my head, when there's a sensation in my body, I stop and I say, I see you. And I'll take you guys through a process if you want me to, like an energy process where you guys can get the full effect of this. If you want me to, just have to let me know. The second frequency is I hear you. And I hear you is you listening to you, right? The ears together make a heart. You opening your heart to yourself and going, what do I need? Let me listen to myself. Let me stop seeking the answer and trying to fix and trying to do and stop doing the action instead, right? You can't have a thinking mind and a receptive mind. You can't seek and receive at the same time. You have to stop thinking, trying, get out of your mind. You have to get into your heart and you have to say, I hear you. What do you need from me? What do I need? And again, it's going to feel selfish. But what do you need? What is the story that your mind is telling you? Is it a story saying that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, that you'll be deemed lazy or whatever? You have to start listening. You're going to hear those stories, but you'll also start to hear that intuition, that body saying, this is what I need. You'll be drawn to certain foods. You'll be drawn to certain supplements. You'll be drawn to certain people, certain books. Listen to that. Follow that. It's going to be a little different for everybody. The third is you are safe. I am safe. I am safe. I look around, nobody's attacking me, no tigers coming to eat me. Just because this person is telling me that I'm lazy or that I'm not good enough because I need to sleep all day or because I'm being unproductive, I am safe to feel this. I am safe to believe that this is what I need. I take a deep breath and I say, whatever this is in my body, what is the sensation in my body? What is that sensation? Right? So when you're listening to your body, you're going to feel the sensations. Try not to label it with an emotion, right? That can come down the line. Right now, you need to be able to notice the sensation because here's the thing. If you know it's guilt or shame or grief, you're not going to want to feel it. But if you come back into that child, think about it for all the moms out there. When you have a little one especially, and they're like, I remember my son, he would tell me, Mommy, I have a tummy ache. And I said, well, what does it feel like? And he'd say, it feels like it's beeping. It would be pulsating, right? That was his word. But I would ask him questions to help me. I would ask him to describe the sensation. And the guides brought that back to me and said, you have to, once you start to feel that sensation, you have to feel safe to feel it. You have to let yourself feel all of it. Because the resistance to feeling will further exhaust your being. The resistance to feeling will further exhaust your being. Resistance takes more energy than allowance. Allowance is you receiving. Resistance is you going, bracing for impact, which is what I'm going to talk about in a minute. So what I would do is when I was listening and in frequency 2, I hear you, I would start to notice that there was sensations in my body. And so I started to explore the sensations. I would be like, oh, okay, so let's just say I felt, I could tell I was in resistance. And I would be like, okay, what does this feel like? It feels like there's a weight on my chest. It feels like I can't breathe. It feels like I'm trapped. And I would just go further into it and I would give it words and I would speak it. And I would allow myself to explore the sensation in my body. And it's a hack because guess what? While you're busy exploring and being curious about those sensations, the act of doing that is you smack dab in the middle of the very thing that you are resisting trying to feel. And there's an immediate shift in your energy, like figuratively and energetically. You actually gain energy in those moments. You're receiving from yourself. That energy can now be put to use instead of holding it away from you. And like when you're holding something away, your arms are locked. When you're in resistance, your body is locked. If you're in the rearview mirror seeing a car about to slam into the back of you, you're trying to resist that pain, you lock your body. That's going to cause a break. Resistance is not a good thing. So I would allow myself to feel, and I would just say, I am safe. I would breathe. In the book, I literally go through this process like 4 or 5 times just to really get you into it. And the last one is I love you anyway. I love me even if my house is dirty. I love me even if the biggest thing I did today was get out of bed and go to the couch. I love me today if the only thing that I could do was open my eyes. It led me into a level of self-love that I had never been to before. Because self-love is not about doing your hair, going to the spa. Those are nice things. Those are loving things. But true self-love is when you accept yourself in your darkest moments. And that's why I think a lot of us have to go through this to get to that point. I started putting that into practice. Every time I was triggered, every time I was having a bad day, every day, every moment of my everyday reality, I would say to myself, the minute I felt triggered, the minute I felt anxiety, the minute I felt exhausted, the minute that anything came up, I would start to become aware of it over and over again. Awareness is key. And I'd be like, I see that I'm resisting. I see that this is pissing me off. I see that I'm irritable. I see that I'm having a craving. I see that my body wants to do this. And I started just doing the process. I see, I hear, I feel, I love. I see, I hear, I feel, I love. I kept doing it over and over and over and over and over again while listening to my body and doing what my body needed. Guess what? It all worked out because I'm here, right? Some of the supplements that I took in the beginning was magnesium. Magnesium, there's many types of magnesium, but magnesium is so important for healing this. So I take a lot of magnesium. Most people don't need to take this much, but the ones that's going to be the most important is magnesium malate. You can find it on Amazon. What I will tell you is this: read the damn ingredients. Read the ingredients. Do not buy supplements from Walmart, CVS, GNC, Target. Don't do it. I have a friend who works in the medical industry that knows a lot about pharmaceuticals, and all of those have probably 10 to 15% potency of actual. The rest of it is filler. Do not buy supplements from those stores. You want to go on Amazon. You can go to, there's a company called Pure Encapsulation. I tried to link these yesterday for you guys, but my Amazon store is down. So you just go on and look for yourself. You want pure ingredients. So you do not want vegetable oil. You do not want any of those things. So this is magnesium malate. It's 1,350 milligrams. It supports energy production and metabolism. It helps with muscle maintenance and healthy nervous system. Magnesium needs to be added into your diet. Now, how you will know you're taking too much magnesium is if your stools get super loose. So start taking it, find the dose that's right for you, and it's going to change over time. But if you find yourself having very loose stools, you want to back that dose down a little bit. So this is 3 veggie capsules a day. I actually only take 2 because I also take magnesium. This is a really good brand too, by the way, Rucha, but they don't have a magnesium malate, unfortunately. So this is a regular magnesium with zinc complex. Zinc is another great one you want to take. But this has, the only other thing that this has in it is organic rice hull. You do not want a bunch of additives in your prescription. You'll be doing yourself more harm than good, or in your supplements. So again, magnesium malate, do your research, read the ingredients, read the reviews. Don't just buy anything. So the other thing that I started taking all the time, actually, I've taken omega-3s for 15 years. It's really good for heart health and for supporting your endocrine system. Again, I use Nordic Naturals. The mercury and the heavy metals that are in most omegas it's sickening when you start researching it and going down the rabbit hole. So Nordic Naturals is the best company. It is not vegan. I don't consider myself vegan, even though I only 90% of my diet is fruit and vegetables. I just eat intuitively. So it is not a vegan supplement, but it is one of the purest ones you'll find. So I take 2 of these every day, and it helps. So I started with that, and then I also take a really good vitamin D. I take vitamin D 3,000, again 5,000 IUs. This is NatureWise. This is a really good one. But again, do your homework, do your research. These are pretty inexpensive, so they're not going to break the bank. But this is made with organic extra virgin olive oil, as it's the only other ingredient in there, and purified water. You want things that you do not want extra additives. This bottle has 300, so this bottle probably cost me, I don't know, 12, 15 bucks. It lasts me all year. So it's not, again, a lot of this isn't going to break the bank. Vitamin B complex is going to give you energy. It's going to be a supplement your energy. But the vitamin Bs, this one is still probably not even the highest and best I could get, but this is the closest I've been able to come to the cleanest vitamin B complex. And again, it's made from Pure Encapsulation. This is a company, I think they're on Amazon now. I'm not sure, but you can search Pure Encapsulation. But it's got B1. God, you know how blind you are when you have to read tiny print, right? B2. It has niacin, B6. Folate, B12. You can also go and get B12 shots if you feel comfortable doing that, and you know it has biotin in it, and B5. So this is a really good complex. You know what's funny is, you know those keto packets that people sell on here that drink? I used to drink those for a little while. I think the reason why people like them so much without realizing it, if you look at the back of those, I forget what they're called, those packets, it is stacked with B12. Stacked with B12. Yeah, you can do B12 injections. Magnesium malate, most magnesiums are helped with energy production. So they help move energy through your body. Everything is energy. So they help you to process, digest, break down, and get rid of things that aren't serving you. It helps your body to flow more naturally. Can't believe that happened. But B complex plus, this is a good one. So this is another thing to take. Again, you only need to take 1 a day. There's 120 in here. It will last you however long that is, 6 months. So that's what I started with. Those supplements and the information that my guides gave me to work with my nervous system gave me just enough strength to leave my marriage. And I left my marriage and moved into my own place. And I'll tell you what, I think I slept for most of 2020. Uh, I literally was sleeping 12, 15 hours a day, if not more. When I wasn't sleeping, I was laying around on the couch. I was doing nothingness. I felt it triggered everything in me. It triggered uh, all of the things that I told you guys. I felt unworthy. I felt um, unresponsible. I felt guilty. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like, what's wrong with me? All of those things came up, and I had no choice but to face them because I couldn't do anything. I was wiped out. But what people don't tell you is when you leave a toxic relationship and or you finally get to a place in your life where you feel safe, your body shuts down. It has to. Not because you are doing something wrong or not because it's getting worse, it will feel like it's getting worse, but because your body has to now unwind everything that was wound up. So this is the part where I didn't know anybody else experienced that I'm going to talk about. And it's something that doctors, again, know little to nothing about. If you spend most of your life, or even 5 or 6 years, or even 2 years, it can happen. It can happen that fast. Bracing for impact, living in resistance. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to face this. I don't want to deal with this. Resistance is your body locked. When you are bracing for impact, your bones are locked. And when that happens, lactic acid builds in your bones. My guides, this is how I didn't know any of this until my guides told me. Because I said, I don't understand. I feel safe. I'm in my own place. I am not around. Why is this happening? What's wrong with me? I was freaking out. And I had to get to that space of surrender where I could hear them again. And they said, your body was locked for so long. This is the reference they gave me. They said, do you remember playing on tire swings? And I said, yes. You ever take a tire swing? Remember when we were kids and we wrapped it really, spun it to where the rope was super, super tight, almost all the way down to where it couldn't? And then what happens? You hold it there, right? There's so much tension. And when you let go, it's now got to unwind like this. And then it's going to go back like this. And then it's going to go back like this. And then it's going to start to slow down. And then it's going to start to slow down. And then it's going to start to go like this. And then it will come to stillness. They said for so long, you held on and braced for, and like you were just trying to get through your life in resistance. You were coping. And then you let go. And the moment that you let go of all of it, your body went, I can finally let go. It unwound it all. And my body my bones began releasing lactic acid, which the doctors, if you go and tell a doctor that, you know what they're going to tell you? Well, if you haven't been lifting a lot of weights and you haven't been overworking out, that's not a thing. It is a thing. They don't understand it. And when your body starts releasing lactic acid, it will feel like you were just in a car accident. That's how you'll know. You will literally feel like you were just in a car accident. Like if you've ever been rear-ended or been in a car accident, you know how the next day you literally, every bone in your body hurts? That is what it's going to feel like. How did I get through that financially? That's a great question. I'll go back and look at the questions in a minute. When I start talking, I get into my own zone. I had to have faith. And I know that's not the answer people want to hear. I was self-employed, so I didn't have a 9-to-5 job. I have been in this industry of personal development and coaching and spiritual guidance and development since 2015, 2016, 2015 and 2016. It was mostly coaching, and then I brought my spirituality into my business. It's almost worse being self-employed because you're self-reliant, right? You can't go to a job and coast through and do the bare minimum. You have to actually work a lot, usually in the beginning. And I had to have faith and trust. So I worked how can I say that? How is the right way to say this? I worked less than I ever had in my business before, and I made more money than I ever made before, because I realized that I'm not alone, and I surrendered and I said, I can't do this by myself. I have to trust that I will be supported. And I did. And I was. I had to realize that making money is not always a masculine thing. It is also a feminine thing. You have to lean back. So that's how it was for me. But maybe for someone else, that means they have to go back home and live with their parents, or they need to live with their friend, or they need to ask for help. And maybe instead of working a full-time job, they work a part-time job. You have to find a way. There always is a way. Just a lot of people don't want to explore it. They don't want to be open to it, or they don't want to feel like a failure, or they don't want to feel like they can't take care of themselves as a grown adult. But sometimes we need help. So I went through all of 2020 and a little bit of 2021 having lactic acid releases. And they were at the beginning, they were constant. And where there were days it would take me 3 hours to be able to have enough energy to get out of bed, to go downstairs and even get a drink. It was that bad. And all I wanted to do was sleep, because my body needed to heal. It needed to just release. And then, again, through listening to my body and my guidance, I found a little miracle. Minerals. When we are in resistance, when we are in high levels of stress, overwhelm, our adrenals are taxed, it depletes our body of minerals. And when we're bracing for impact and we're in resistance and we don't want to feel and we're just coping, it depletes our body's minerals. Minerals is what gives us life. It's what gives us energy. This goes back to ancient times. You can even go back and look through Native American, indigenous, you'll see it. This isn't the product I started with that I'm going to show you. And listen, if you have to do what you have you have to do and start where you are with what you have and what you know. Do not judge yourself if you can't buy this product or buy another product. If you go into my bio or even my past videos, I share about Soleil, which is a very inexpensive way to start the process of remineralizing your body. That's where I started in 2019, was with Soleil. And it was very cheap and very inexpensive, and it gave me enough of energy back to be able to do the little bit of work that I could do. And then I started finding out about fulvic and humic acid, and the micronutrients that come from the earth. So this is the product that I currently use. It's from Biofulvic. It is a multi-mineral fulvic and humic micronutrient blend. It is a full spectrum of beneficial amino acids, trace minerals, and electrolytes for supportive over wellness. I'm going to list the 8 million things that this heals and offers you. But I actually reached out to this company because I have been using this brand for a little while now, and it's really hard. The brand I was using before this, they went out of business twice because of their COAs where they were being tested, and their product was expensive. It worked for me, but there was too many question marks around their ethics. This company, I don't have any issues with their ethics. They are a company that is very much in integrity, and it's an affordable product. So I reached out to them, and they gave me a code that I can give you guys for anybody that wants to try it. It's my name, so it's JB10. So you'll get 10% off, and that's in my profile too if you guys want to even read about it or look into it. You'll start with a slow dose, but the reason I went to this versus just continuing with the Soleil was because the Soleil brings a lot of the minerals, right? It pulls from the Himalayan salt. It pulls the minerals that are in it that begin to nourish your body. So my hair grew back. My skin started to return. I started to have energy again. Literally, I knew that I was in the right place when I took it, and that I knew the next day I was due for a lactic acid release. And when those go off, when those release from my body, I would have days where those were the days that it would be 2 or 3 hours to get out of bed. I would piddle around the house and watch TV or chill outside on the beach because I literally had no energy to do anything. And I started taking it probably 2 or 3 days before I knew I was going to have a lactic acid release. And you guys, I was able to get the fuck up. I was able to get up. I woke up and even though I still had a little soreness in my body, I didn't struggle to get out of bed and I had energy again. And I was like, okay, that was the evidence that I needed that this product was working for me. So just a couple of things about this product that I want to share, because even if you don't have all of my symptoms, and even if you're not in this stage, what I came to realize of going deep dive into this research is the more alkaline your body is, right? So again, eating a high fruit diet, getting rid of processed foods, your body becomes more alkaline. Acid in the body equals disease. It equals headaches. It equals sickness. It equals body pain. Acidic foods are terrible. But everything, you have to do what's right for you. So listen to your body. But most people are mineral deficient. And I had no idea as I started to actually do like research on it. Just because spirit gives me stuff, I don't take it for face value. I listen to it, but then I also do a little bit of research on it to see if there's any kind of evidence that supports it. And what I found was most people are mineral deficient, and it leads to, again, it leads to things just not working the way that they're supposed to. So your hair might thin, your skin might be dry and cracked, you might have ridges in your nails, they might be brittle, your sleep might be off, your gut biome might be off, your thyroid might be off. You just start noticing that things aren't right. So this contains 70 minerals. It is a full spectrum. It is low in sodium for those who are going to want to know. It's made from a freshwater deposit. It is electrolyte rich in amino acids. It is naturally and ethically sourced. There is backing on that, by the way. There is lab tests on that. It is GMO, allergy-free, heavy metal-free, pesticide, chemical, and toxin-free. Again, if you have been eating processed foods and oils, you go through a detox period for a little bit, which can kind of bring on a little bit of headaches in the beginning, but it doesn't last very long. Preservative free, it is a cellular conductor. It is vegan, pro keto, pro paleo for those who care, sourced in the US, which I prefer. And it is made from recycled bottles, so they are environmentally friendly. So this is the difference between doing the Soleil and doing something like this. And I know a lot of people on here promote, what is it called? Shellac or something like that. I don't feel that product for me is not where it's at. The fulvic and humic acid is what you want if you have struggled with nervous system dysregulation, if you have struggled with adrenals or exhaustion or burnout or any of those things. It increases your body's hydration. I'm just going to read it. You can read it from their website too. Speeds up wound healing. Increases nutrient absorption. This is so important. If you have bad gut health, how does that get caused? It gets caused from your gut being overloaded with all of the chemicals and processed things that are in processed foods and that are genetically modified or inflammatory oils. And it destroys your gut biome because your gut no longer wants to absorb anything because it's toxin, right? It's toxic. So this clears that out and begins to open up your gut again to be able to absorb nutrients. So for me, when I was before I got into this, right? So 2016 to 2019, before I really even started the Soleil, I was eating a fruit diet. I was doing those things and it was helping to a little bit, but my gut was not absorbing the nutrients from the fruit and vegetables. It didn't matter. I could have been eating pizza the whole time. It probably would have made me feel worse, but my body was not absorbing the nutrients from my food. So again, the hair loss comes from nutrient deficiency. Skin and nail issues come from nutrient deficiency. And that means that even if you're eating all the healthy foods, your gut is not absorbing them. So this helps to improve nutrient absorption, increases metabolism, reduces sugar cravings, improves your eyesight, helps heal the leaky gut, fights infection and viral outbreaks, reduces pain and inflammation from the joints and lactic acid buildup. Reduces acid reflux, again, because it's alkalining the body. increases cellular conductivity through electron volume. So this penetrates the cells in your body. Improves your energy levels. I talked about that. Seriously, this was these two products, so the fulvic and humic mixed with the minerals, was the number one thing that brought me out of my adrenal fatigue. It helped me. And if you have to help yourself, you have to start supporting the body. And everybody who knows, and not all my other platforms, like I will only share things that have changed my life. It boosts mental focus and memory. It aids in weight loss. I have lost 70 pounds over the last year and a half. Enables deeper sleep, getting into the REM cycle so that you can actually allow your body to fully shut down and heal. It helps with uninterrupted sleep, because if you're anything like me, when you would finally fall asleep, when you were wired and tired, when you would finally fall asleep, it would be broken. You would wake up at all times of the night. It improves the quality of your hair, skin, and nails, reduces skin problems like psoriasis, sores, acne. It is a gentle detoxifier of parasite activity. We always have parasites in our body, especially when we're eating fruits and vegetables. It's just going to happen even when you're cleaning your fruits. There's always going to be some that are going to get in there as part of the process of this. And so you'll start to see liver flukes flush from your body. You'll start to see little parasites. It's not to alarm you. It's just to tell you that your body is getting rid of those things that have been feeding on the processed sugars and stuff for so long. So anyway, this goes all the way back to, the ancient times, Native Americans. There's a ton of lab-backed evidence. This is their website. It's all linked for you in my profile. And, if you are someone who's called to it, please don't just buy it because I'm telling you to. But if you're someone who actually feels called to it, you can get 10% off if you want. There's a code there for you. It has to be refrigerated. It tells you exactly how to use it on here. And this product it literally changed my life. It changed my life. Another thing that for anyone who even has anxiety, this will help. This is Valerian Root. Again, you want to make sure you're getting a good quality product. So I have tried the over-the-counter pills for Valerian Root. This is a nervous system support. It's to help calm and relax you. It works wonders. I prefer the liquid form, and I usually get the one that's alcohol free, but it's up to you. But this comes from Herbal Pharmacy. You can get this online at Amazon. You can go to a Whole Foods, might have it, health source. And I usually take 3 dropperfuls. That's kind of a lot. I would start with 1. But you can take this and drive. You can take this if you're taking care of your kids, going to work. It's something that you can have and take once or twice or a few times a day that will really help kind of it's like the visual I get when I take this is like a coating of the nerves. So when your nervous system is triggered, it's like frayed. And this just kind of calms everything down and kind of brings you back into that place of like, oh, I can breathe. So this is a product I highly recommend for anybody who struggles even with anxiety. This is something that will like change your life. Again, just look it up. You can find it on Amazon. You can probably get it at a Whole Foods store. But here I am, 80% healed. My adrenal fatigue is 80% healed. I rarely ever have an lactic acid buildup. The only time I ever have a release anymore is if I go hiking. But I am able to go hiking again. I'm able to work every day again. I'm able to function, but I move a lot slower down than I ever did before. And I'm in my feminine energy a lot more than I've ever been before, because I know that my body is still healing and it takes time. You don't achieve burnout or adrenal fatigue or any of those symptoms overnight. They take years and years before those symptoms show up. It is going to take time to heal. And you have to be patient and compassionate and loving and listen to the way that you speak and treat yourself. How you treat yourself is how you teach other people to treat you. Hear me when I say that. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Like legit. So treat yourself with the most love and compassion that you possibly can, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And do what you can with what you have, with where you are. You don't have to go out and buy all of these things. You don't have to change your whole life tomorrow. Start making slow, subtle shifts. Start changing your lifestyle. Start changing your diet. Start adding in some of these things and take your time. And when you feel overwhelmed, life is too much, you have to stop, even if it's for 15 minutes, and just sit there and frickin' breathe. Take the pressure off. You just have to do that. So let me see if there's any questions because I've been yakking a lot. Thanks for everybody who's listening. Oh, thank you for the compliment. What brand of decaf coffee? I have tried different ones. I look for anything that's organic. I think right now I have Wicked Joe that's in my cabinet. For those of you that have seen those ads for mud water, if that's something that you can do, I highly suggest mud water because it's 1/16th, has 1/16th caffeine in it, but it is made with mushrooms and other things that are really, really good for your nervous system as well. I just happen to be out right now, I have a new batch coming, so occasionally I would have, you want to come back up, Ginger? Occasionally, in the beginning, I would drink decaf coffee. Like I think it was 2020 that I switched to mud water. But right now, what I'm drinking today is Wicked Joe's. It's organic and I like Wicked Joe's because they're water processed because the coffee beans come caffeinated. So they have to strip the caffeine out of it, which makes it a processed food. But when it's water processed, it's not as bad. So I like them. Yeah, if you have wild blackberries, anything wild, I would take. Any kind of berries. Berries are the healers of our nervous system and our endocrine system and our thyroid. So blackberries, and they're wild, absolutely. Go pick those, wash them, eat those babies up. Yeah, spinach and fruit. I'm telling you, the spinach is full of magnesium as well. Spinach really helps to help things move through the body and open up the cells and helps you get rid of the waste. So raw foods, again, so I have a Vitamix. It's a 32-ounce little container, right? So I put, right now I've actually moved on from berries. So you got to listen to your body. So right now I do pineapple, mango, and spinach. Spinach is the constant, but right now I've moved on to pineapple and mango. I'm here. You don't get all the attention all the time. It's this I have to talk to other people too. Um, but yeah, any kind of berries in the beginning, berries are the thing that you want. But I would drink a 32 ounce. I would blend it. So I put a cup of each of those in and cover it with water you can use hemp seeds, chia seeds. If you're going to do chia seeds, you want to let them soak in the water for a while. You want them to kind of um, open up a little bit because especially if you take them and they hurt your stomach, then you might want to soak them before you put them in the smoothie. And so sometimes hemp seeds are easier because they don't need to be sprouted necessarily as the way that chia seeds do. Um, and you can just listen. You can put other things in it, but listen to your body and what you need to put in it. Yeah, sleeping and anyways, even if it's not a toxic relationship, even if you have a fantastic marriage, just give it a try. Spend a couple of nights sleeping in different bedrooms. It doesn't mean that you guys can't be together all the way up until the moment you go to sleep. But try sleeping in different bedrooms. We weren't meant to sleep together. We weren't meant to cohabitate in someone else's energy field or someone else's aura constantly because that energy is always communicating. And a lot of people have really poor boundaries. And there'll come a time when you don't even need boundaries anymore, but most people don't have them. So you have to have boundaries first, and then you can release them. But a lot of people don't even realize how much of other people's shit they're taking on. Just try sleeping, because when we sleep, example, animals, right? Have you ever noticed that your animals, they will either sleep upside down or they'll go sleep by themselves. They'll like kind of go away from, sometimes they'll sleep together, but when animals sleep, they release energy. We're no different. So we are sentient beings the way they are. So when we sleep, we're meant to release. But if you are sleeping in someone else's energy field, you're not releasing. There's activity happening. So just try it. Sleep a couple of nights a week. Yes, if this live actually downloads, I'm going to upload it to YouTube. So follow me on YouTube, and if this, hopefully, it will. Usually the lives are still there, and I can download them, and I'll upload it to YouTube. Greetings from the grave. Oh yeah, I'm so glad this information is helping you guys. Yes, JB10, you got it. And there's a link to the company's website if you guys want to check them out. Yes, I'll show in case. So this is the bottle. I know it's probably backwards for you guys. I don't know how to do that. I'm not that talented yet. Um, it's glass. You don't really, I mean, it's peat glass. It's recycled. It's got all of everything on it. They're very honest company. I really want to help support them because it's really hard to find companies that are in integrity nowadays. And it worked for me. And if something works for you, you want to share it with people. Um, it's not an MLM. It's nothing like that. So, that's what it looks like. It comes with a little scooper, and I just pour it in, and I take my shot in the morning, and I take a shot at night, and it's great. You can go to biofulvic.com. There's a link in my profile. Okay. Can I see your cat? Yeah. This is Ginger. Ginger, can you say hi? She is super shy. Let's see, she hides. She doesn't want to. Mamas, you don't want people to see you? Can you say hi? She was taken from her mama too soon, and you want to give me kisses? We adopted her, so she likes to sleep under the covers with me. Cats are super healing little beings. They're just amazing creatures. She is. She's so adorable. She's also a pain in the ass, but I love her. So do you guys have any other questions about any of the information that I shared? I know it was a lot, and like I said, I'm gonna download this as long as no issues happen, and I'll upload it to YouTube over the weekend sometime, so you guys can go back and take your time and listen to this because I know not everybody was able to stay through the whole broadcast. But these small little shifts in your lifestyle will begin to change things for you, and it will happen very quickly. So whether you are coming out of a toxic narcissistic relationship or you're healing trauma from your whole entire life, it's not just one thing that causes this. It can be a multitude of things. And even if you actually were in a car accident or you know just have any of those, start to learn to, and this is why, for those that have, followed me for a while, I teach how to read your energy and how to read your body, because I think that it's powerful. You shouldn't need to go to a medical medium. You shouldn't have to not have a Western medicine doctor believe you. You should be able to listen to your body and do what our ancestors did and go and find the healthy things that you need to rebalance your body. Our bodies weren't made for synthetic things. It wasn't designed that way. And so I teach a lot of that and I share a lot of that. I have a ton of free content on YouTube. I have a free academy with all of my content organized from YouTube. I've written 3 books. So this one is my biggest one that I've done that shares my process. I've written a children's journal. My son was bullied, so I have that. And then I was a co-author in another book. But this is what I do. This is my life, is helping people step into healing themselves, not feeling empowered to where they don't feel helpless anymore, moving them out of that fearful victim state of, I'm unsupported, I don't have any help, I'm broken, I'm exhausted, I have so much trauma, and moving you into a state of, I can heal this. I'm not broken. I can get better. I can be supported. I can be loved. I can be treated right. Those things didn't happen to us because we were unworthy or we were a bad person or we did something in a bad past life. They happened to us because if you're uncomfortable, you're going to move. You are going to change. You're going to seek. And you're always going to be born into the opposite circumstances of that in which you are meant to experience. This is why you see people who are born into rich families and have everything they could ever ask for go in the opposite direction and become drug addicts, right? Or do bad things. And you see people like me who come from homes of neglect and trauma step into roles of helping people to heal. We wouldn't go towards those things if we weren't put in uncomfortable situations. We had to be put in situations that would make us go towards that in which we desire. It is a lot. I'm going through it with my toxic narcissist husband. Well, thank him. That narcissist, the narcissists in my life, they made me who I am today. I am a compassionate, patient, empathetic, strong, empowered healer and woman. And I don't know I would be that person if I didn't have so many narcissists in my life, because they showed me exactly what I didn't want, and they showed me all of the things inside of me that I needed to heal. I was given a choice. You're always given a choice in those moments. Do you want to believe the shit they tell you? Do you want to take their story as your truth? Or are you going to step into the love of yourself and say, and develop good boundaries? And boundaries are not a fence. Boundaries are your values, your virtues, your standards of what you will accept. And I reached a point through many narcissistic relationships where I was like, no, my standard is this. And if this is not what I'm getting, I'm not asking you to give it to me. I will walk away. Boundaries isn't saying, I want to be treated this way, and if you don't treat me this way, it's not okay. It's saying, if you don't treat me this way, I'm leaving. When you ask someone to do something, that is a request. Boundaries are, this is what my standard is. And if you can't meet that, I'm out. And I know, as someone who had to, in my very first marriage, it was a very abusive marriage, and I had to save up money, and I had to leave in the middle of the day when he was at work, when he didn't know. I know sometimes it takes time to leave those kind of things, and I know that it isn't always as simple as it seems. I'm not naive to that, but it is a choice, and a boundary says, I will not be tolerated. This will not be tolerated. I'm not going to ask you again. I'm not going to try to change you. See, that's the thing that a lot of us women do, and even men do it too. If you can't accept someone for who they really are versus who you want them to be, then you don't need to be in that relationship. Yeah, part two, remove yourself from the situation. It's different for everybody. And so I've been, this was my third marriage. I've been around it a lot, you know? So the boundary isn't a request, though. The boundary first happens inside of you. What will I tolerate? What are my standards? What are my values? That is your minimum standard, by the way, not your maximum. It is your minimum. You have to get clear with that inside of you. And then here's the key. You have to make sure you are doing what your standards are. You want someone to treat you with respect? You better be treating yourself with respect. You want someone to not judge you? You better not be judging you. You want someone to love you unconditionally? You better start loving yourself conditionally. For me, for you, for us, if you aren't doing it yourself, you have no business setting that standard for someone else. You have to set the standard and then look and say, okay, I got to start doing this for myself. And it's a slow process. It takes time. But you got to do those things. And then when your significant other or a friend or your boss crosses that boundary, maybe the first time you say something and you say, I'm not okay with this. It's not a trigger. It's not a reaction. It's not, again, this is a process. And I literally, you guys, go over this in here. Like this is me teaching you boundaries. This is me teaching you how to do this, how to do. It's all in here. But, every time you let it slide, every time you believe, every time you think, oh, it'll be the last time, you are violating your own boundaries. You're violating your own boundaries. And that was a really hard pill for me to swallow when that happened, when I realized that was happening. So that's how you set those standards. And then when they don't, once you communicate, these are my standards, they're going to violate them. And people will get really pissed off when you hold a boundary and you'll lose a lot of relationships, you'll lose a lot of friendships, and you're going to be alone for a little while, but you need that. That's what you need. You need to be alone for a little while because you don't need anybody else's input. You need to get right with you. But if you set that tone, the people that get pissed off that have the boundary are the ones who benefited from you having no boundaries. So figure out who you are, figure out what your minimum standard is, and then you better treat yourself that way. And then when you embody that, where that is your standard and you don't even have to think about doing those things for yourself, you will call in those relationships that will mirror that back to you, that will amplify your heart and your beauty. It is available. What kind of therapy? I didn't do therapy. I mean, I have a therapist who listens, but she doesn't give me advice. I am a shaman and a psychic medium, and I developed, with the help of my guides, a modality that helped me regulate my nervous system. I actually use it in everything. It's one set of tools that really helps me with everything. I learned to hold space for myself. I learned to feel safe inside of myself, and I started to become super aware of everything. The stories and the subtext that your mind creates to fill in the gaps so that you can try to mitigate situations before they happen. You got to retrain. It's an unlearning of everything. And again, I have a plethora of YouTube trainings, and you can sign up for my free academy where they're organized, or you can just check out my YouTube channel. You can buy my book. You can buy someone else's book, whatever you need. But start to become aware of yourself. It's not about fixing them. It's about getting right with you. It is like shoveling sand into an ocean. The name of the book is Holy Grail, The Journey Through My Soul's Evolution. So this is my author copy. You can it's linked, or you can search Amazon, put Holy Grail and Johanna Burkhardt, and it'll come up. Indonesia, hello. You can get it on Amazon. It's linked in my profile. You can just click on my little picture and you'll see my link. My website, my link. It'll say my links, and then everything's listed there, including my YouTube channel, all my other platforms. I have given a lot over the years, so there is a lot of content on there. There is a lot of spiritual, metaphysical content on there as well, but there is content on boundaries, on healing the body. There's all kinds of information on there. So look into it. There is, I'm a healer too, so there is energy healings on there that will help you. Use them. Use them just soak up all of the resources you can. You want to go beyond that, then you can. But I want to show up and give you all of the resources that I possibly can, free and otherwise, because it's not all has to be paid stuff, right? You have to do what you can with where you are. And sometimes where you are is not a place where you can hire somebody. So do what you can with where you are. Do you remember Vine? I don't know what that means. Thank you. I'm not going away. I'm here. I don't do a lot of TikTok lives. I'll do more, but I usually only do them when I'm doing energy updates on YouTube. But I'll start doing more. I'll start coming on here and sharing more content. But I have tried a lot of things that didn't work as well. I tried black seed oil, I think it was called. That didn't work for me. Um, I've tried I've tried so many things. And every time I bring something, I would try something new. I would give it about 2 weeks to a month sometimes, and I would really pay attention to my body. I journaled a lot. I tracked how things felt. I tracked my sleep. I tracked, and then nothing crazy. It's just jotting down, a couple of things. You can even do it in your phone notepad. But it really is paying attention to your body. It's learning to tap into that. I'm not going to do readings on here. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could comment. I just found that you could actually comment to someone. I could actually comment to some of you back on here. It's really interesting. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, but again, I just want to reiterate, listen to your body. You don't have to be psychic. You don't have to be a medium. Everybody is intuitive. Everybody is intuitive. You just have to get still. You know what? In fact, let's just do, for those who are curious, let's do a quick practice. So if you don't do this if you're driving, obviously, but if you're with me and you want to do this with me, well, I'm going to offer it. So just sit. You can put your feet on the ground if you want, where you can feel your feet. And then just begin. We're going to do a couple of deep breaths. So you want to start by breathing in through the nose and letting your belly fully expand. Hold it at the top for just a moment. And then breathe out your mouth through pierced lips until you have no breath left in your belly. We're going to do that again, just breathing in through the nose. And out through the mouth, nice and slow. Just begin to find your natural breath. Start to pay attention to how your breath moves. When your breath moves, it goes up and down your spine. Become aware of the natural rise and fall of your belly. Just bring all of your awareness, all of your attention to how your breath moves. Bring your awareness to where your body connects to the chair or to the floor. Really notice that feeling of that connection between your body touching something, where 2 points meet. And now I want you to begin scanning your body. So start at the top of your head, crown, just to slowly, we're going to move through the body. So just bring all of your conscious awareness to the top of your head. Notice any sensations that might be moving. Don't label them. Notice if there's tingling, there's pain, there's tightness. Maybe it feels open. Maybe it feels light and expansive. Just notice the sensations. Just begin to move down to right behind your eyes. Notice any sensations there. Is there pressure? Is there tightness? Does it feel light? Allow yourself to move down into your jaw. What sensations show up in your jaw? Is it locked? Is it tense? Is it relaxed? Is it sore? Tingling? Coming down into your neck, into your throat? Does it feel like there's a ball in your throat? Or a lump? Or is it nice and open into your shoulder blades? What sensations show up in your shoulder blades? Into your traps at the top of your back? Explore the sensations. Does it feel like something's pulling? Does it feel like there's a weight? Just allow yourself to be curious and explore the sensation. Coming down into your chest. Does it feel like there's a weight on your chest? Does it feel constricted? Does it feel like you're short of breath? Or is it light and open? What pains or sensations do you notice? Give it any and all descriptive words you can think in your mind. And just explore it. Are you closed off? Are you recoiled? Are you wound tight? And if you are, just take a breath. Can you accept that this is how you feel? Can you accept that this is a visiting sensation? Just bring your focus down into your belly. How does your belly feel? Does it feel hard, full, bloated? Does it feel empty? Is it gurgling? Notice all the sensations. Into your lower back, behind your belly, behind your digestive system. What does your lower back feel like? Does it feel like something's pulling on it? Does it feel tight? Go deeper into it. Like you're moving into a wall of fog. Just go into it. Explore the sensation. Moving down into your hips. We store a ridiculous amount of trauma in our tissues, especially in our hips. What sensations do you feel in your hips? And don't forget that numb is a sensation. If you feel numb, or you say, I don't feel anything, numbness is still a sensation. Tap into it. Is it tight? Is it sore? Is it overused? Go down into your thighs. What sensations are in your thighs? What about your knees? How inflexible are you? Are your knees stiff, not wanting to move forward out of fear of the unknown or uncertainty? Are they tight and weak? Moving down into your shins. Do they feel weak, brittle? Or are they strong, supportive? And then down into your feet. How do your feet feel? What sensations are showing up there? And then just take a breath. This is presence. This is how we step into and begin to have awareness of what is happening inside of our body. And when you find a sensation, when you're feeling something because you have pain or discomfort, when you find it, just sit down, close your eyes, take a couple of breaths to settle your energy, and start investigating the sensation from a space of curiosity. As if you were a child having to explain to your mother every little sensation that you feel, allowing yourself to be smack dab in the middle of that feeling, of that visiting emotion or sensation alert that your body is trying to communicate to you. And the deeper you go into it, the more awareness and ahas that you will get. And you'll start to be able to communicate and connect with different aspects of you that you stored in your body. So for example, I'm going to give you guys a real life example that happened to me. I have a lot of lower back pain. I really don't have it as much anymore, but I used to have a lot of back pain because I didn't feel supported. And that's when I have lower back pain, that's my body's signal, my dictionary that I have built for myself that says I don't feel supported. But I remember going into the sensations and part of my body. I think it was actually it was my hips, not even my lower back. I was having really bad hip pain at the beginning of this year, end of last year. And I did the work that I teach. So I went in, focused all of my energy on the sensations in my hips. And I was just exploring the sensations. And then all of a sudden, my imagination will take over. Your imagination will take over if you're not someone who's super intuitive. Your imagination will fill in the gaps. It will translate the energy. And I started to get this visual of like I was stuck between these two big pink things. And all I can assume is they were muscles, but they looked like two big pink slabs. And I was literally trapped between them. And I couldn't get out. And they were pink and they were super inflamed. And as I allowed myself to just be in there and get curious and explore the sensation even more, I realized that an aspect of me was trapped in my hips. This is called parts work. It's a big thing that I do in the work that when people work with me. I do a lot of parts work when we're doing trauma work. And everybody on the planet has parts of themselves. The healthiest person has 22 parts. But most people who have experienced trauma have thousands of aspects of themselves. And an aspect of you is a version of you that you did not accept, or that someone else didn't set and accept, so you rejected. And you pushed that part of you away. And that is a piece that you are resisting. So when you find the resistance, you'll find a part of your being. And I was able to communicate with that part of myself and just get visual flashbacks of events that happened to let me understand that this pain was associated to something that I needed to heal that happened a long time ago. Because for me and anyone who suffered from trauma, from abuse, trauma that was abusive, you're not in your body. Your amygdala usually stops recording. And so your body remembers what you never felt. And you have to feel it to heal it. You don't have to remember what happened. You don't even have to have a full memory, but you have to be able to allow yourself to feel the pain that's happening. And so that visual, what it was showing me was I was allowing myself to feel something that in the past I had resisted. And they were showing me what it was that had resisted. They were showing me the memory or the story. You don't always have to have that, but that was something that showed up for me. And as I allowed myself to explore it, I noticed I started coughing and then I started yawning. Yawns and coughs, sneezes, these are things that our body does naturally to alchemize energy. It's showing you that there's alchemy happening in your body. So when you sit down and do this work, don't be surprised if you start coughing or you start sneezing or you start yawning. You're moving energy. You're allowing yourself to feel. And you have to do that by opening your heart wide open and saying, I'm going to love this part of me too. So this is just a little taste and something everyone can take away and start becoming mindful of their body. Yeah, get in nature too. Nature is such a good healer. How can't how you can't how you I don't know what you're saying. How you can't about environment. I don't believe that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. And you don't have to believe anything I say. This is why I tell you guys, listen to your own intuition. Your environment is always, listen, you no, but there, safety can only be found within you. If a plant isn't doing well, it's because of the environment. You have to move the plant into a healthier, it has to have a good environment. It has to have all the things it needs to grow and be supported. So your environment is important, but at the same time, you're always going to have times when you're not in the best environment. And so the reason why you do this self-awareness work and you do this healing work is so that you will learn to feel safe inside of you regardless of what's happening outside of you. That is the goal. That is what the real work is. And doing this mindful work and connecting with yourself and learning these things, even when it comes to what supplements you need or what foods you need, it starts with you trusting you and you finding safety within you. And then you won't be afraid to leave anything or do anything. I do have meditations. There's a bunch of them for free. I have the Body Keeps Score book, but I've never read the book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure there's awesome stuff in it. Somatic healing is amazing. Right shoulder. Shoulders talk about shoulders are responsibility. How much weight are you putting on yourself? How much pressure are you holding to do it all? I'll look and see what meditation, if I have you know what? I think I have a meditation that I could probably um, offer for pretty inexpensive that goes through the body that way that we just did. But I have a lot of free resources on YouTube that you guys can start with. So, but I will look over the weekend and see what I have in my arsenal, my library, and link it over the weekend in my bio. You know, this is what my guides call living in totality. We have to release judgment of good or bad, and we just have to say, is this for me or is this not for me? Because what's right for me may be wrong for you. So release judgment, And just know if your environment isn't right for you, if your husband didn't cheat on, like my husband didn't cheat on me, he didn't abuse me, but he wasn't right for me. It was toxic for me. And so I got to leave. And a lot of people judged me for that because they said, well, he's a good man and he didn't do anything to you. It's like, well, you don't know everything. Not everything is not what it seems. It wasn't right for me. It doesn't have to be right for you, and it doesn't have to be a societal norm. You don't have to do something to lose somebody or to walk away from somebody. It's just not right for you. And if you stay in a situation that's not right for you, that's on you. But yes, I'm not naive that it takes time for some abusive relationships to break free. I understand that. I was one of those people too. But you have to start the process. You got to start. I have pain at the top of my spine and at the base of my neck, head and neck. Well, what does that mean to you? What do you immediately, what's the first thing that comes to you when you feel that? That's what you got to start listening to. I know everything about how my body functions. And if I don't, if I find something new, I tune into it just the way that I, I, similar to what I just did. I mean, that's not the whole process, but that's a starting point. So I tune into it and I listen, right? I see you, I hear you. I find the sensation, I see you. I see where the sensation lives in my body. I hear you. I'm receiving from it. What is it trying to tell me? How is it moving? How does it feel? I can start investigating it. I feel safe, right? That's the third one. I feel safe to explore this, to be curious about what this sensation is offering me. And through that, you're creating the safety to feel it. And then I love you. I love you anyway. I am accepting and loving myself, even if I have this pain, even if I'm angry, even if I'm depressed, even if I can't get out of bed, whatever it is. Because you can't integrate or heal anything if you don't accept it and love it. It's just the way it is. Um, so I have, for those that are, how do you tune into it? You bring your focused awareness to it. You focus all of your conscious awareness on it. That's how you tune in. And I actually have a course called the Energy Matrix. It's a really big course. It's 3 phases, but the first phase, I actually broke it up to sell it individually. If you really want to know how to read your body, if you want to build your own dictionary and you want to know what everything means for you, not for someone else, you can read other people using this course too. You can step into energy reading if you wanted to, but you have to start with you first. So in my book, I teach integrity. I teach you do it for yourself first, and when you get a good handle on doing it for yourself, now you can do it for other people. So if that's something you really want to know the mechanics of, how to manage your auric field so that when you don't go out in big crowds and get anxious anymore or overwhelmed anymore, and you want to know how to be calm in toxic situations or angry, outbursts and people who are reactive. If you want to know how to work with your aura, how to manage your energy, how to tap into your body, how to trust what you're getting, how to feel safe, the energy matrix, the first phase 1. If you go into my profile and you go down a little bit, it'll say digital courses. You want to click on that and you'll see it. Just look, there's a whole bunch. I have a lot of courses, but you want to look for the energy matrix. Phase 1, that course right there. And I actually have all 3 phases open right now, but it's not on my website yet. But phase 1 is where you want to start, and it will literally, I take you through. And the meditation that I did for you now, it's 55 million times better when I am connected with all of my, because I'm a trance channel, so I'm a physical medium. That's why my medical mediumship is so good, because I'm a physical medium. I'm an in-body medium. So I teach you how to do this. Every single person has the ability to do this. Everybody is intuitive. We are all connected to that source. We are all aspects of that. So if that's something that you're really interested in, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook. You can send me an email, or you can just go to my website. It's johannaburkhardt.com. It's in my profile, and you can go to the digital courses and find it. it will change your life. But not everybody's ready for that. So if you're not ready for that, you can start with being mindful and just doing what I just showed you, just slowly scanning your body. And when you find a sensation, start exploring it and see where it takes you. But if you really want something more than that, I would recommend the Energy Matrix. But it's not something you have to do. Yeah, it's emotional trauma. And the left side of your body is where you receive. So the left is the feminine energy. It's where you receive. So if you're not receiving, if it's blocked, it's because you're not receiving and you don't want to receive. It means you're operating on doing only. So you are really out of balance. So you have to start reversing that and doing less and receiving more. Your body has to be brought into harmony. I'm so glad you're feeling better. Yay. Okay, you guys, I've got to run. Thank you so much for joining me. You had so many beautiful questions and so many beautiful souls showed up. I will try to get this up on YouTube once it processes, so you can check me out over there. If you're curious about anything I said, it's all in my profile links. Again, you can find any of these products online. You don't have to use my code, but if you want a discount and you're called to this, it's JB10. It's linked in my profile. If you want to start with a book and you're called to me, pick up my book, The Holy Grail, or just listen to me on YouTube or follow my videos. Do what you can with where you are, with what you have. Take your time. Don't feel overwhelmed by needing to change your life overnight. Make a list of things that you want to do and slowly start adding them in. It's called stacking. You don't want to, the worst thing is to overwhelm yourself when you're already overwhelmed. So make a list of things that you would like to incorporate into your lifestyle to change and slowly start adding them in. Take your time and know that you're doing the very best that you can and love yourself. Okay? It's not selfish. It is selfish to put yourself last. And that is something that we are changing in this world. So I love you. Thanks for joining me. And I will see you guys next time.